claps, everything should be good to go. Hello and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me. So when I borrowed the Roland Jupiter XM from the very nice people at Roland, they asked me if I would like to borrow this A88 Mk2 MIDI controller that they've just released. But I wasn't sure, to be honest, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I wasn't sure if I could make an interesting video about a MIDI controller. After all, as you know, I'm sure, they don't have any sounds built in. So what are you really supposed to demonstrate? And the second thing that made me a little bit reluctant to borrow this is that when I normally demonstrate gear here on the channel, it's gear that I'm interested in actually purchasing myself. It's an opportunity for me to try before I buy. But I'm not really on the market for an 88-note MIDI controller. I'm sure this is a very nice piece of gear, but it doesn't fit in my studio / spare room. So not really something I want to buy myself. I don't think so anyway, unless this particular video changes my mind. But then I realized a couple of things, and that changed my mind and convinced me to do a video anyway. So what I realized is that this MIDI controller has exactly the same keyboard action, the same keys as the Roland FP pianos. And I've been thinking about buying one of those as an alternative to the P121 that I really like, but I've heard some great things about the Roland Action. Never tried one, but this will be the opportunity to try it, as it is the same on this as it is on their mid-range FP pianos. The other thing that came to mind is that probably some of you will be interested in this, so I can make the video for those of you that are considering buying the 88 Mk2. And the third thing that came to mind is that I found quite an interesting angle for this video, because in the past I've gone on record on some of my videos as saying I think a digital piano is a better value option than an 88-note MIDI keyboard. So perhaps that can be an angle that we'll take today, and we'll discuss if indeed I think, or together we can decide if the extra features you get on the MIDI keyboard controller outweigh the advantages of a digital piano. Because after all, you can connect a digital piano to your DAW and use it to control your software instruments just like you can on this. And a digital piano costs half the price. So that's going to be an interesting topic for discussion today as well. I hope you agree. So let's get started. We'll do an unboxing of this as soon as we thank my very generous and lovely sponsors. Okay, so let's move the little XM that I put up there just as a prop, and we'll open this thing up together. Now I do need to go and find a knife. And I can do that because I'm actually wireless to the camera right now. What we have, let's just make sure that, yep, what we have today, I'm recording on my lav mic going into a digital recorder that I have in my pocket, which means I can walk away from the camera. I hope it's sounding okay to you today. I can walk away, get my knife, we'll come right back, do the unboxing. And I've now got my lavalier lead tangled up. There we go. So let's take a look. It's interesting to me that the actual model designation is taped over here. I think that's quite funny. This is obviously not a new keyboard. This has been doing the rounds. There's shipping labels here for Japan, Brussels, all over the place. And they've taped out this. So this was probably one of the prototypes that was doing the rounds and going to the trade shows before it was announced, which I think is kind of interesting. Although on the bottom side, you can't see what model it is. I wonder actually, would you like me, I'm a bit curious myself, would you like to peel this back and see what it says? I'm sure Roland won't mind because this one has been released now to the general public. Oh, I can't even peel this off. This is tamper-proof tape. So we won't be doing that today. Let's open it up instead. We'll take a look at it. You seem to like my unboxings. I know some people hate unboxings in general, but I've actually got quite good feedback on mine for whatever reason. Let's do this together then. I assume this is where we open it. So yeah, not a brand new instrument, so not sure what we're going to see inside. Not even sure how to open it. There we go. And I'm always getting questions about this keyboard stand as well. So why don't we have a quick look at that as well. If I stand this one up, oops. Yeah, the keyboard stand is like a tabletop style stand. It's by Roland. I've owned it for at least 20 years. I'm not sure if it's still in production or not. But there you go. It's one of the common questions I get on my videos whenever I show this particular stand. I like it a lot, by the way. Okay, here we go. Let's pull this over so you can clearly see what's going on. Now this is a very big keyboard instrument, as you'll see yourselves in a second. And I'm led to believe this is a premium quality keyboard controller as well. But we'll take a look at it in just a second and decide ourselves. I'll actually put it down and lift it out. Yeah, camera boy is out cycling in the rain today, so he's not able to help me. Unfortunately, oh, it's actually quite light, surprisingly so. And there you go. Wow, that is a handsome beast. Yes, liking the look of that. Let's get rid of some of this junk and then I'll give you a tour. Yeah, this looks nice. Oh, yeah. Wow, super impressed with this. This is really nice. Okay, so I must say I'm really impressed with the fit and finish and the look of this thing. I'm not sure if I can actually do it justice here on the camera, but there's a lovely textured finish here on the top panel, which would be nice if you're playing on stage to stop any glare or reflections coming into your eyes, but it's really attractive. It feels to me like it might even be metal, but it's extremely sturdy. Yeah, this has got a nice premium feel about it, that's for sure. See if I can just capture the texture there. Really nice. Look at that, nice textured satin finish there. It's quite a handsome thing. I do like these quite boxy slab designs. One thing I'm not such a fan of is having the control panel here over on the left side, because it just adds to the total length of the keyboard and actually makes it slightly awkward to carry around. You may find that it doesn't fit in your car. If you have a compact car and are thinking about putting this on the back seat or something, it's probably just a touch too large. But on the other hand, by putting it there, they've actually made it a very shallow instrument. It's got a remarkably shallow form factor. It's not too deep either if you look at the depth of it. It's actually pretty compact for an 88. And yeah, as I say, got a really nice sturdy feel to it. Yeah, thumbs up on that one. Let's take a little look around the back first, see what we have. So all the connections are located here behind the control panel. We have DC in. I don't believe this can be powered over USB. We'll have to see. Power on and off there. We have some pedal inputs, as you would expect. USB on a, is that a USB type C or micro USB? I'm not sure, but I actually always dislike seeing micro USB connections on keyboard. They feel, on a keyboard, they feel very fragile to me. If you were to trip over the lead or something, that little connector's going to break. Even the bigger printer style square connectors quite easily break as well. And we have regular MIDI in and MIDI out, which is great as well. MIDI in is a bit strange on a keyboard controller, but there are probably reasons for that I can't think of right now. And this is your strain relief here for the power cord. That's pretty nice. So it's not a built-in power supply. So there's your DC in there. This does actually support MIDI 2.0. Not sure entirely what that means in this case. I know though this is the first Roland keyboard ever to have MIDI 2.0, which I think is pretty cool. The only things I know about MIDI 2.0 is that you have a higher degree of, what's the word I'm looking for? More steps in the MIDI signal. It's not just 0 to 127, you get a lot more steps. There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't quite find it right now. And the other thing is you get some mapping between the keyboard, or the available controls on a MIDI controller, and the gear that you're connecting to. They can actually talk to each other and describe for each other what the capabilities are, but that's really all I know, and I'm a bit too lazy to do any more research on that topic. But some of you will have seen better videos on this topic, I'm sure, and can let me know in the comments. But yeah, this is MIDI 2.0. I'm a bit surprised because I thought the MIDI 2.0 support meant that you had small 3.5mm connectors on the back, but this one doesn't have it. But anyway, whatever. So what we could do now, I propose, is we take a look at the control panel. Then I will compare the action to the Yamaha over there. So I forget what this particular action is called. I'll put it up on the screen once I've done a bit of research, but it's exactly the same action that you get on the FP10, the FP30, and the next model up, I forget if that's the 50 or the 60. But on the most high-end Roland FP pianos, and on the RD2000, you actually get a real wooden keyboard, which is a really nice touch, which is a step above this. But I'm led to believe this is still a very good action, so it'll be interesting to compare it with the Yamaha. But let's take a look first at the controls that you get on here. And we can also compare that with the controls you get if you were to hook a digital piano up to your DAW or some external MIDI equipment and use the digital piano as a controller. So let's see what we have here then. Maybe first we should power it on. Might have a problem here, guys. Actually, we might have an issue here, guys. I'm not finding the power supply here. I thought we would power it on before we look at the control panel. What have we got in here? We have a couple of USB cables, one there and one here. Put those to one side. We have some polystyrene blocks. What's in here? Hopefully, I don't think so. Oh, don't tell me they haven't given me a power supply. Had exactly the same issue with the Jupiter XM. I got that one without a power supply. Actually, we could probably, I have a universal power adapter we can use. We have the manual here as well. Okay, let's see if we can power this one via USB. I have one of those little power packs. Let's see if it works. Okay, let's try this. So where is the power pack? Where is the power pack? My son is always taking it to charge up his telephone. Ah, here we go, here we go. So let's see if we can turn this thing on with the help of one of these, which is fully charged, so we're okay. Put that in there like so, power it on, and nothing. Okay, so I'm going to have to hack together a power supply for this. Oh. Okay, so it's telling me it needs a PSB1U adapter. No idea how many volts that is or what the polarity is, so we're going to have to Google that and hack something together with one of my universal power supply adapters. It's a real shame it didn't power up over USB, I think. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, you probably won't be liking my unboxing videos after this one, I'm sure. PSB, what was it, 1U? How many volts is that sucker? 9 volts. 9 volts. Slightly better picture. PSB 1U, 9 volts. Okay. This will do the job. So this is quite a handy thing to have actually in your power supply box. Here we can adjust the voltage that this one is outputting. Also, I can swap over the connectors to different sizes. I have a bag here of different plugs, and you can pull it out and twist it around to change the polarity. Fingers crossed, guys, that we get this right and don't blow up this A88 Mk2. Okay, that's on 9. Let's go find the right plug. Okay, we can actually disconnect that. This one fits perfectly. Good, we just need to get the polarity right. There's always a risk we blow this up, so I guess that's exciting in a way. Let's see if it powers on. And next time, Roland, if you're watching this, give me the power supply, please. Whose fault is it if this doesn't work? I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. And nothing. Okay, I think that means we got the polarity wrong. Let's swap it over, try again. Do like that. Switched off, plug it in. Okay, fingers crossed, here we go. Yes! All right. You treat it to a very nice LED display when it starts up. Now there is some accompanying software that comes with this one. I don't think I'm going to demonstrate it on today's video. This will be more of an introduction, and if you're interested we can take a look at that in a separate video, but I'm sure using that software you can do a lot of configurations of the LEDs, because I saw these were multicolour when it started up. Okay, let's position everything again. It's strange, every time I've had to improvise a power supply I get the polarity wrong the very first time. Even though I double check my work and what we're doing, I still always get it wrong, but to date I haven't actually blown anything up by doing that. So let's put this back here closer to the 121, and now let's look at the control panel together. Come on, okay. So obviously we have 8 pads on the top here. You're not going to get anything like that on a digital piano. So if you want to trigger MIDI events or drums perhaps, this is quite nice to have. Here it looks like I can step up and down banks, or perhaps these are MIDI channels. We're not quite sure. We have the usual next previous scenes there, I suppose they are. I have not read the manual yet, but we can just take a quick look at this together. Snapshots of the control panel settings, I suppose. Just interesting that there's no screen at all here. But there are some different modes here, shift functions, function mode, a note mode, and then these 8 knobs, which are presumably assignable then using the software app. Since there's no control panel here, I guess all the programming is done on your PC, which is fine. Here we have the controls for the upper, lower, and split modes. Nice transpose button down there as well. Octave up and down, although I'm not sure why you would need that on an 88 note controller, but it's nice to have it anyway. And 2 assignable switches down here as well. Finally, we have our pitch bend and mod lever here. It seems to me like Roland can't quite make up their mind if they want to have the old-fashioned pitch lever stick. Well, it's not old-fashioned, but that's what they've traditionally had, or if they want to adopt pitch and mod wheels like we have on the XM. Interestingly, the new Phantom has both the pitch stick and pitch and mod wheels, so it's the best of both worlds. But that's pretty much the control panel. I won't go into too much more detail on that right now, but if any of you are curious to know more, then just go ahead, download the manual, and you can see for yourselves. Now, I'm very curious to try out the action on this one as compared to the action on the Yamaha P121, which is their low to mid-range digital piano. Oh, by the way, we should also briefly mention that none of these controller features are available here on the digital piano. You can, of course, configure it to transmit MIDI data. You can, of course, configure it to send MIDI data on whatever channel you use. You do that by using the functions here, holding down a function key. You can power it. No, I've had to pull it out to plug in the other one. Yeah, that's all configurable anyway, but you don't get very much else. There's no knobs or sliders that can send MIDI data, certainly no pads, and none of these assignable buttons either. But that begs the question, something I've thought a lot about actually, is that if you're buying an 88 note weighted keyboard controller like this one, then you're probably using it to play piano sounds. That's primarily why anybody would want an 88, is to play your piano sounds, or perhaps electric piano sounds. But for anything else, I don't find it to be very enjoyable to use a weighted action like this one. It's certainly not very nice for playing synth bass or synth pads or even orchestral stuff. And it's absolutely horrible for playing Hammond organ. So I think it's probably safe to assume if you have one of these in the studio or on stage, you're using it to control piano sounds, either on your software or perhaps on another device. Quite likely to be a sample library, I would think, running on your laptop or on your PC. And then, I think anyway, you don't really need so many assignable controls because it's not something you really need to tweak in real time. It's not like a synthesizer where you want to be adjusting the filter and the cutoff and the amp envelope and so on. If you're just playing a piano sound, I find myself that you don't really need to be tweaking the sounds and you don't really need all these assignable parameters. So I'm still a little bit puzzled why there is a market for 88 note weighted controllers with a lot of buttons, switches, knobs and controls over on the left. So if you have any good ideas yourself, then please do let me know in the comments. It's certainly nice to have. Another thing I've actually noticed we don't have here is transport controls, which is a bit strange if you wanted to control your sequencer. Let's explore the action. All right, the first thing I'm just checking here, the actual surface finish of the keys is something I think about when I'm deciding on an action. And this one is really nice. It's got a little textured matte feel to it. Whereas the 121 which we have, whoops, sorry, over there, has a completely glossy, shiny surface to it. I do prefer the matte touch myself. It feels more luxurious and your fingers are less likely to slip around. I'm also comparing these two. It looks like the length of the keys is somewhat longer here. The length of the keys is somewhat longer on the Roland action, which is nice as well. It makes them easier to play than the shorter keys. You can play with more control and accuracy. I'm actually really liking the feel of this. This feels wonderful. And it's easy to play. Another thing I always consider when choosing an action is how easy it is to play the keys towards the back. This is called, I think, the fall board on an acoustic piano. And if you're playing keys like that B7 I'm playing there, your fingers will be towards the back of the keys. And this one is easy to play at the front or the back of the keys. Not quite so much on the Yamaha, but it's still not bad at all, actually. You might be able to hear this is a much quieter action as well. But yeah, I like this a lot. I've got the feeling that the keys are hinged quite far back here in the case, which is always a very good thing. As far as the weights of the keys, the weighting of them, they've got a very different feel actually to depress. This one I think feels more realistic to a piano, a real acoustic piano. This one is still very nice, but it feels more artificial to me somehow. This one also has the escapement, which I'm not, yeah, you can feel it actually. As you depress the key, you can feel a slight give or a slight notch, which is what you feel on a real piano as the hammers release. It actually feels rather nice. So yeah, overall I would say that this keyboard action, the same as you get on the low range FP pianos, it's actually quite remarkable. They use the same action on their cheapest digital pianos all the way up to the mid and high range pianos, and exactly the same action that you get on this premium MIDI controller here as well. So they don't skimp on their piano actions. Even if you buy a low end Roland digital piano, you get the same action that you get on the mid to high range pianos, which is really nice. And this is a fantastic feeling action. It is a step above what I'm experiencing here on the Yamaha. So that's actually food for thought for me there. If I one day will upgrade the 121, actually really liking this action. In case you're curious then, the reason I chose this particular keyboard in the first place is it's because one of the very few digital pianos that has less than 88 keys. This is 73, and at the time I thought I would be using it in my studio where I normally record my videos, and there isn't enough space for an 88 or anything like this in the studio. But as it happens, I put the digital piano in this room anyway, where I've got a lot more space, and I could actually fit in an 88 in this slot. So I'm actually thinking along the lines of upgrading this digital piano so I get a nice action and better sounds. This one is perfectly fine and I enjoy playing it a lot, but I'm kind of lusting after a more high-end digital piano with a better action. So definitely I'll be looking at the Roland FPs, and also the more high-end Yamaha digital pianos that actually have a wooden action. That's something that really appeals to me. One thing I've become aware of when playing digital pianos, something, once you've noticed it, you cannot unnotice it, is the hollowness of the keys is something that bugs me a lot actually on some digital pianos. And you do notice it when you're playing. If you catch a note with your fingertips, with your fingernail, I hate that hollow feeling. If you've got a key made of very thin, lightweight plastic that's hollow, it's just not a very nice feeling. Both of these are actually fine in that regard, but that's the reason I think why some of the premium keyboard actions that actually have wooden cores are much more nice, because the keys just have a more solid feeling to them. When you get this very thin, flimsy feeling key, that just ruins the enjoyment for me. Both of these are actually very good, I have to say. Okay, what I can do for you quickly is just show you a little bit about the construction. The build quality of this, I think, is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really picky about this kind of thing. This is extremely sturdy and solid. I'm convinced that we have a metal control panel here. There's absolutely no flex or give whatsoever. On the back here, equally really solid feeling back panel there. The end cheeks are quite plasticky. They'll probably take a few dings if you knock them into something. And let's actually show you what it looks like on the back as well, on the underside. If we come over here. And it's important to me how a keyboard is constructed, how solid it feels. I mean, this is the way you interact with the instrument to make the music, to share your emotions and your passions and tell a story. And if you're just playing on some plasticky, cheap feeling thing, it's not very satisfying. But this is put together as good as anything I've seen. This feels like a solid MDF base here. Yeah, really liking what Roland have done here. Well done. I applaud any manufacturer that puts together a keyboard that feels this good. I'm gushing a little bit now, so I'll stop. Yes, I know I told you I wasn't in the market for an 88-note MIDI keyboard controller, but now that I've actually got to touch and feel this, I can tell you it really appeals to me. But unfortunately, I just don't have space in the studio for one of these. But this is a really nice bit of kit. And I apologise if we haven't gone into much detail, or any detail at all, come to think of it, on the control panel here. But it seems to me to be just your general MIDI controller functionality, so I won't go into that in this video, and I was a bit too lazy to read the manual. But we can do that in the future if you're interested. Okay, silly me, I just noticed as I was shooting some B-roll that we have a whole load of functions here on the keyboard, which is really nice. So this is how you program the device. You presumably hold down the function button over here, perhaps together with a shift, and then press a key. And this is where we can set our MIDI channels down there, very clearly labeled. I like that. We can also do some bank selections here as well, your MSBs, LSBs. Whoops, get that over there. You can see that there. We have also some system parameters. We can change the control channels. Is that what the controls? I don't know. The pads, the key velocity curves we can adjust here. Driver, suspend, all sorts of miscellaneous settings there as well. We have an arpeggiator. Check that out. We can switch an arpeggiator on and off as well. These are the different steps, or the intervals here as well. We have the gate here as well, and then a numeric pad where I can type in different values. So that's actually pretty cool. I see there is more depth to this than first meets the eye, but presumably most of the stuff you'll be doing on your PC editor, but really good to see that you can also change the most important things here using the keyboards as buttons. So normally when I'd be reviewing a MIDI keyboard controller, I'd stop right there because there's nothing really else to demonstrate. This thing, of course, doesn't have any inbuilt sounds. But the last time I did that, some of you got really angry with me for not actually playing it. So let's take it into the other room. I'll connect it to the PC and I'll play you a few sounds from my new favorite VST plugin. And let's see if you can guess what it is. Come on then, let's go. default, these knobs are already doing some interesting things without me even having to configure them. Got a filter there and some kind of interesting blend control up there. Wow, really nice. See if you can guess what the plugin is. Not sure what this knob is doing. Ah, okay, that's what went wrong. The tune. Any guesses on the plugin? Sorry about the Oriental scale fail. Write in the comments what you think the plugin is. It sounds awesome. So one more closing thought then, if you do have the funds for the A88 Mark II and you have the space in your studio, or if you want to have it as a centerpiece for your stage rig, then I can heartily recommend this one. It's far exceeded my expectations, just in the premium feel and the build quality and the keyboard action that I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I think you can't really go wrong with this, and I'm super impressed with what Roland have done here. Yes, I know I keep banging on about this, but I can't tell you how happy I am to see a return to these solidly built, sturdy, robust, professional feeling keyboards. It's so important to have a nice feeling instrument under your fingertips when you're playing, and quite frankly I've become a little bit sick of all of these lightweight, flimsy plastic keyboards that everybody has been dishing out to us in the last few years, so it's credit where credit's due. This is wonderful. Okay, in the interests of a fair and balanced review, and so that I don't come across as being a Roland shill, there is one thing about this that I dislike after using it for a short time, and that is the design decision to use a micro USB, or whatever it is, this tiny little USB contact, instead of the larger printer style USB sockets. I mean, after all, this is your main connection to transfer MIDI to your stage rig or to your DAW, and it just feels very fragile to choose that tiny little connection. It's just a matter of time before you trip over the power cable and break that. And there was no reason to use such a small connection. On a mobile phone, I kind of understand it's maybe acceptable there for a tiny little lightweight device, but there's plenty of room here to fit a more robust connector. Bit of a strange choice there by Roland. Top tip from me then, you could use this strain relief hook also for your MIDI cable, just in case you trip over the wire. But even so, the actual connection feels a little bit fragile to me. So there you have it. That was our quick unboxing, first impressions, review and demo of the A88 Mark II. And I'm still not quite sure if we answered the original question. Should you buy one of these or a digital piano? But keep in mind that the digital piano, you could get a really nice FP30 or an FP10 from Roland for half of the price of this A88. You do lose all of these nice controller features, but you still get the same really nice feeling action. And it would be just as good, I think, for controlling piano sounds on your computer. And the other thing to consider is I love having a digital piano in the house. You can just power it on, get playing immediately. It's got the piano sounds built in, of course, and built-in loudspeakers, so you don't need any extra monitoring equipment to just play and enjoy yourself, something you don't get on one of these. I'm kind of thinking myself actually that in this day and age, when we have so much technology in the palm of our hands, for example, I'm thinking that all keyboards, even MIDI controller keyboards like this, should have some kind of built-in basic default piano sound that you can use. Imagine this A88 with a built-in piano sound, one of the Roland Supernaturals, and perhaps even with some built-in loudspeakers, and that truly would be the best of both worlds. You'd have a fabulous keyboard controller and a digital piano combined together. It's a little bit like, I think, what they've done with the new RD88, and that's a key, is that what it's called, the RD88? I think so, and that's something I'd like to check out myself as well. But I kind of think that Roland perhaps missed an opportunity here by not putting in a piano sound and perhaps even some loudspeakers. The loudspeakers I can give them a pass on, but just a basic piano sound that you can use when you're on stage or in the studio would have been really nice. But yeah, otherwise I really love this. I'm so impressed so far with the fit and finish, the feel, and the components that they've used on it. I like it a lot, and I look forward to trying out their FP pianos in the future, and also some more digital pianos from Yamaha. So that's it for today. I hope you found it interesting. I'm sorry we didn't really reach any definitive conclusions, but I'd love to hear your comments. So do let me know down in the comments section below. Until then, thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you to all of my sponsors. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.